expect Suning to maybe go for Rel here. Rel is the best champion coming in from On, but you know, just as to say that, Suning defer back into the Hecarim.
Yeah, so this is more statistically accurate to what we see out of Suning and out of LNG, in that usually Tarzan is getting his counter pick in the jungle a lot more than SofM usually does, so this does make sense in that regard. Volibear is locked in. We talked about this earlier on today, Clement. That could be Volibear jungle finally making its way to the LPL.
Volibear jungle has been taking the world by storm. A lot of different changes just means that Volibear barely loses any HP on his clear anymore. The Sky Splitter damage has been upped. You can actually outsmite people with your E ability now. And the changes to Frenzy Maw mean that he clears a lot faster as well. So it's just a much better jungler in this patch. The basic clear has been much improved, and we see LNG going onto the Kaisa. As we mentioned, this is, for me, a much more of a takeaway from Suning. If you have Hecarim plus Kaisa is a very strong combination. We've seen a lot of teams being able to execute the Terrify into the Killer Instincts pick-off strategy, and Suning instead are going to go for a different flavor here. They're going to go try their hands at the hyper carry Varus that LNG had done last game.
Yeah, it's feeling like we've kind of skipped a portion of the meta almost, where we saw the mid changes and we're like, okay, assassins are going to be really good, things like LeBlanc are going to be really good. But it feels like I'm already thinking that Angel and Icon might be leaning towards these supportive mids once again, when you've got things like the Varus coming through, especially things like the Zillion, things like the Lulu that do really well into those assassins. I feel like stuff like LeBlanc was played a bunch in scrims. They were like, this counters LeBlanc. And so on the stage, we've skipped that bit of the meta.
Yeah, it's a lot of two heads coming in here. Suning, with this draft, I actually think they're not going to be playing around their bottom side. This is a very defensive bottom lane if need be. They can wave clear with Piercing Arrow from behind a tower, and you have Abyssal Voyage to join up elsewhere. So Suning looking like they are going to index more into a just let Bin do his thing and top carry throughout the entire game sort of strategy, while probably going for a poke Varus here in the bottom side. On the other hand, for LNG, once again, a very strong snowball potential. Alistar, Kaisa, still a very good combination, even though Rel was left out of it. And we are going to see most likely LNG has been consistently drafting their top lane in P4, allowing Bin to get the counter pick. So I think Suning have read this sort of draft that LNG has been throwing at them, and they're pretty much willing to catch it with a counter pick and a top lane focused draft strategy.
Yeah, that's been the go-to here. Suning with one last ban could throw it towards Icon as well, or could throw it towards the top lane if they fancied. It depends if they think this Volibear will be the jungle or if they think it'll be going towards the top side. We haven't seen Volibear top in a while though, so I would anticipate that being a jungle pick. It's going to be Gnar, by the way, instead.
Yeah, and Volibear top lane has a huge weakness against Jax. We have seen that at Worlds as well, so you don't really want to throw that blindly up against Bin. Probably not great for your health. We're going to see what the top lane, or LNG actually shifting up the draft just a little bit. Potentially going for the Sylas. This is going to be the first time that Icon will be on a damage carry in this series if he does lock that in. And just looking at the champion pools, Mikuya has never played Sylas this split, so I do assume that's just going to be Icon picking that up for himself and leaving the top lane carry to last.
That would be a classic if it's locked in. The Kassadin for Angel is something that he
let's go!
really built a reputation on last year. It's locked in. Look at this draft out from Suning with a Kassadin there to really pop off. And then the Renekton comes through from Bin. It's all about Angel this time around. He played the Zillion last game. He did his time on the supportive pick. Now it's time for a hyper carry.
I'm not exactly sure what this draft does from Suning. I feel like its power spikes are all over the place, and I guess when you're 2-0 up in a series, you get that one game where you just get to strut your stuff and see how far you can push things.
Yeah.
But
that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, it's a really weird draft from Suning. I do prefer LNG's draft this time around. I feel like it's a 1-3-1 with good catch potential with Kaisa, and also is a very safe 3-man in the 1-3-1 now that they have the Alistar as well. So LNG with a very standard draft, Suning with a very weird one. this is a staggered draft in terms of their power spikes. They have Kassadin that has a great level 16 as always, but no one really to follow up on that when he reaches that stage. The rest of Renekton and Varus actually fall off a bit compared to their counterparts from LNG. So this is kind of a draft where everyone is just going through the motions and playing the early game so Angel can reach the promised land.
Well, get your timers and your pointing emojis and your Monka S's ready for the chat, because we've got a Kassadin that's going to be leveling up, and that's the win condition for Suning, as it always is when a Kassadin is locked in. But I have to say, Suning, I don't hate this draft, even though it doesn't make any sense, even though it's not necessarily a good draft. They're basically saying, look, LNG, we just smashed you 2 games back to back. It wasn't even close. Now we just get to play a game where we play what we want. We play with a bit of style. We play with a bit of pizzazz. Let's see what you got, LNG. And they've thrown down the gauntlet. LNG bringing them the Volibear jungle for the first time here in the LPL since it resurged in the meta recently. Icon as well has himself a carry. That's who we got to be looking at. The mid-jungle duo that we've been wanting to step up all year long. They've got a combo that can work. Can they finally bring it to the stage?
I'm really uncertain about Suning's draft. They have no priority anywhere on the map. It's, you get a bit from Renekton, but that's about it. Just waiting for the cheers to go through here.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw an RNG sign there, which I have to say, I'm not... The RNG aren't playing today, just in case anyone was confused there, but I appreciate the fan enthusiasm. Let's talk lane priority, though, because you're absolutely right. There's not a whole lot of priority to work with for SofM. He's got an Ignite Smite on the Hecarim. This feels a little disrespectful from Suning across the board, I'm not going to lie. With this draft, SofM, not like... He doesn't have any priority to work with. Like, what do you do as SofM here? How does he play this out with this situation?
I think you have to be a ward bot and just hope for the best. There's massive kill potential from Icon plus Tarzan. There's a lot of hard crowd control coming into that combination, and Kassadin doesn't have a say. So if this game goes out based on the picks, we should be seeing SofM losing a lot of his Raptors and a lot of his Merfolds. That should be what is expected of the matchup, and Suning have to hold out. Like, this top lane and this bot lane, all of them are here just to hold out, just to make sure that their jungle doesn't get invaded too hard on.
You've just made me realize something. The wolves are called Merc Wolves, and boots are called Merc Treads. Does that mean the boots are made from wolves?
I hope not.
It's not, because they're Mercury Treads. But it sounds similar, so we can make the joke. Yeah, we'll have to see what on earth the plan is for Suning here, but I'm keeping my eyes on Tarzan. We talked about the jungle matchup coming into this series. Oh, the engage from Lwandy, that was clean. It's not a one fight. It doesn't matter too much, but hey, it was a nice little double knock-up right there. But yeah, I'm looking at Tarzan because I feel like on this Volibear, you can really influence lanes. Kind of similar vibe to what you get from the Udyr, right? Where you can just charge into a lane, get the stun off, and really impact the early game.
And as I say that, Icon actually gets taken very low by Angel here. It's still not going to be an easy lane for him to play through, but I'm a little bit surprised by how much Angel is able to hold his own here. And he actually forces Tarzan to come through the lane just to keep his mid laner alive. That's rather peculiar.
Tarzan's pathing has been not quite as good as SofM across the course of this series, but let's be honest, SofM is known for his creative pathing, right? That's one of the things that he built a reputation for, especially last year at the World Championship, was his creative jungling. On taking a huge amount of damage here. Lwandy doing a good job to punishing this bot side every time On steps up, but that's the thing about Tahm Kench. You can take a lot of damage. You have a lot of sustain in that kit to be able to take these trades and still just sit it out in the spot lane.
Yeah, Suning's solo lanes are really outperforming by any metric you look at it. As I say that, Angel coasts really, really low, down below 200 HP, but he still has a teleport, so it's completely fine here. The bot lane is going as we expected. Alistar was sort of the counterpick to Tahm Kench. You can get the double knockup before the Devour comes through, so you can make the damage stick onto the AD carry. We do expect this lane to get a little bit better for Huanfeng as he moves into level 5. and it looks like this is going to be hyper carry Varus. So not the poke variation that I thought we were going to see. I thought there was going to be poke into just playing really safe, but he still wants to match his power spike with Angel into the late game. In the meanwhile, Bin has just been winning out on the matchup massively. This is mainly due to jungle pathing. We did see Hecarim come from bot to top, so Nakuya had to play super respectful about SofM's potential pressure.
Oh, look at this from Lwandy though. Really, really early roam up towards the top side. They want to shut Bin down. Tarzan is here. Lwandy is as well. Bin needs to be cautious. Hasn't used the slice and dice, but if they find the engage, he will have no support from Angel, no support from SofM. They're all on the wrong side of the map right now. Bin, I think, will be all right, and Lwandy just has to channel the recall. Looks for a way in. Bin knows something's up. He sniffs this one out, and we'll back away.
Yeah, we could see the question mark pains on Suning into the bottom lane. They know the support is roaming, and Bin actually entices the gank to come in once more. Angel sitting very comfortably right now. We do typically see the Everfrost being the first item from Kassadin. It allows him to pick off targets very easily, gives him a lot of HP early on as well, and this is just really clean play coming in from Suning. They wait until Lwandy finally shows himself on the map before making sure that Bin gets the recall.
Yeah, really nice stuff coming out here from Suning. Bin gonna TP back in, get the control ward dealt with as well, so he can rejoin this top lane. Already has a 10 CS advantage, and now off the back of that recall, having the ninja tabbies, he's going to be able to do a lot of work up on the top side, and it's going to only become a little bit more difficult for Nakuya in that matchup, because Renekton, I mean, let's be honest, this is the part in the matchup where he's really going to be at his strongest point, right? Renekton in the early game is an absolute terror. I do want to talk about the mid lane a little bit, though, because you're mentioning Angel and how impressed you are by his performance. One thing that I noticed was recently Angel, when it comes to the Korean ladder, has been absolutely smurfing. He's up in he's in 42nd place in the Korean solo queue ladder right now with 50.
Oh, wait, a of Shadow going back.
Goes in here, 1v2. Icon, I don't know if that was really a correct play to go for, mate. Just gets taken down. I don't know. He started that fight.
Yeah, I think he didn't consider the fact that SofM was bringing in Ignite, and he thought that the Kingslayer could keep him through the trade. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. How is there an Ignite on me?
Maybe that's why SofM's going for the Ignite, actually, now you mention it. Intelligent stuff here from Suning, and unfortunately, Icon gets taken out. A good attempt, though, on the 2v1. He actually nearly pulled it off, but nearly's not quite good enough. SofM's here on the bottom side, and LNG weren't ready for that. Lwandy over the wall, does flash to safety, but SofM happy to charge down light here, stacking up for the stun here from On. Can they finish any of these kills? SofM rampaging through. It's a kill for On as well. And suddenly, out of nowhere, it's 3-0 to Suning.
That was beautifully played. LNG throw everything and the kitchen sink onto Huanfeng. He has the heal. He has the Devourer. They juggle the aggro perfectly. And SofM is a level ahead. He doesn't have his ultimate in that fight, but he has the correct target assumptions. Let's watch this play again. It was LNG just starting everything onto Huanfeng. Lwandy goes in a little bit too deep. Light isn't level 6, so no killer instincts to actually follow up on this. And SofM makes sure that Tarzan has no follow-up after the Sky Splitter. You usually want to use the Sky Splitter slow and then get the stun onto it. SofM makes sure that doesn't happen. He hangs around, and that's 2 unanswered kills over to Suning when they're drafting this late game comp.
And that's a bit of a diffy in the jiffy that we're witnessing on the scoreboard right there. 6 CS lead, but 2 kills and an assist as well. Already has his boots and a ruby crystal. When he eventually resets as well, he's going to be absolutely massive coming back onto the map. Herald is available now, and you have to start to think that maybe Suning, despite having a Kassadin in the mid lane, could actually be the ones that have the advantage on these neutrals.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way for now. Top lane is at a 23 CS lead. That's absolutely massive for the matchup, and it usually doesn't go this poorly for Aatrox. There wasn't even a gank into the top lane, just implied pressure. So I think Bin is just on a 1 versus 1 basis, like out mechanically playing Nakuya for this lead into the top side. Really Suning have their pick up the litter, whether they want to go on the Herald or if they want to just go start the Drake. So as Suning are spotty here, and Tarzan can hopefully make a play happen.
Oh. On's going to be able to
Stormbringer?
pull Huanfeng in. Everything is used before Huanfeng gets out of the belly. On. I'm not sure why you're trying to flash away from that one. I'm pretty sure that was a guaranteed death. But you know what? Huanfeng gets out. I think Suning are going to count that as a win because SofM will be able to get this Herald. He can either push it topside if he wants or go mid and give all of that juicy plate gold to a Kassadin.
That was pretty funny. When failure to launch actually ends up being a benefit for you. Huanfeng stays inside the warm basement of On's stomach and is able to dodge out on the Stormbringer. Get out completely free. That was pretty fun to watch. Icon now the target.
Oh my goodness. Icon getting absolutely run down. Giddy up SofM. Just charges him down in the mid lane, and now they can drop the Herald if they want, but I think SofM would rather have the enhanced recall. Bin has flash. He's going to go for it. Jumps in for the solo kill. Oh, it's brutal. As Suning, they've got this ridiculous draft, and they're still just styling on LNG.
LNG get one flash and one kill onto the bottom side. In the meantime, Suning run away with everything. That was really depressing to watch, as there was really no counter that Icon could have done right there. Sylas is just a champion that doesn't really have that much escape. He's great at going forward, not really great at going backwards. And yeah, I think right now SofM's actually just too fed. He has the Iceborne Frostfire Gauntlet right now. Doesn't even need the Turbo Chem Tank to get on his targets anymore.
Oh, there's a TP as well. Here comes Angel. They're going to start to give some kills over to the Kassadin. Light knocked back into the fray, and there's one for Angel already. Descended from the heavens just to smash LNG into the dirt. Double kill for Angel as Icon comes in, but he knows there's nothing he can do. I think he's just given up, because that's a quadra on the Kassadin. Clement, we're 11 minutes in, and this already feels over.
I don't think I've seen a Kassadin this fed in the LPL at 11 minutes into the game. That was a perfect move coming out from Suning. They know that the solo laners don't have any TPs. There's full mid jungle priority coming in from Suning, and they do the classical mouse ward drop onto the back. Popularized by EDG, this is a play that we've seen in the LPL so many times. You think it's a 3v2. Oh no!
Oh my god.
Oh, that's
Clement,
just dirty.
LNG just can't get a win. They can't get anything. Nothing is going their way. It's brutal. It's so brutal. I feel like I don't know.
He even has time to flash the
This just feels
emotes.
unfair.
That's... Oh.
And the thing is, here's the thing, Clement. Here's what makes it real bad, is that Suning have come into this one with a draft that's not even that viable. It's not even that serious of a draft. They're just playing comfort picks and silliness, and they're still just absolutely decimating LNG. This feels like a victory of mental warfare more than anything.
Yeah, mid lane winning out, bot lane very easy drop here. Tarzan doesn't really do anything, and that's kind of the problem with Volibear. It is a champion that does have a pretty significant drop off there, and I really like what SofM did. He tried to prevent scumbag Huanfeng from stealing the kill with piercing arrow. He's like, no. Kassadin is the win condition, okay, Huanfeng?
Yeah.
You can have your win condition on another day. This is an Angel draft.
Exactly. You already had your Jinx game. Let's give this one to Angel. Just body checks Icon so that Angel can finish the kill. You love to see it. And I have to say, SofM go and ignite Hecarim here, and then also go Frostfire instead of Turbo Chem Tank as well. This guy doesn't care about your meta. This guy doesn't care about what you think's good in League of Legends. He lives his own life and he plays his own style, and I love every second of it.
The reason he's doing this is he understands that he can take the punishment. He can walk in really slowly without the element of surprise, and LNG can't do anything to him. He's 3 levels above Tarzan at this point. That's absolutely insane in terms of stats. So he really just doesn't care.
Oh no.
Ignite.
Light is living in darkness this game. There's just nothing. Everything's... Honestly, it feels like there's nothing in the tank for LNG. It feels like... I don't know. It feels like they've given up, to be brutally honest. There's another plate going down mid lane here as Icon looks for a way in. Where did he go? Where did he go? That's not allowed, Huanfeng. Gets eaten up by On, flashes out to safety. SofM in over the wall, the fear across them. Tarzan trying to get a kill for himself. Desperately trying to find anything for LNG, but it's just not there. Lwandy comes in. Can they finish? Huanfeng, one more auto and do the trick. He can't do it. LNG get nothing.
Oh, LNG just mechanical outplays again and again coming out from Suning. Icon went in with the fake chains of corruption, and then Huanfeng showed him the real one. He gets stunned in the middle of his abscond abduct, doesn't get the E to land, and just dies in his tracks. Then LNG, out of frustration, try to go for Huanfeng, and the boy by the sea is able to walk back into the ocean completely unharmed.
The merman himself, if you will. Mid tower goes down. That's going to be all 3 outers taken at this point with a tier 2 in the pot to boot. Everyone has a bounty aside from On, but he's Spartan 117 on the scoreboard, so he don't mind too much. Let's take another look, because it was the burst damage out of Huanfeng with the WQ combo that was just insane here.
Yeah, so what I do want to point out here is when you land the Chains of Corruption, you do get full Blight stacks, and that's why he was able to burst out Icon so heavily right there. And afterwards this play, you have Ignite ticking on Huanfeng, you have Tarzan sitting on him, but watch the footwork. That was pixel perfect, actually. Huanfeng dodges out of the Sky Splitter and then walks backwards to avoid Lwandy going up onto him. He gets out of that one extra auto attack that would have cost him his life, and he rubs the salt deep into LNG's wounds.
And the thing is, you've all seen the clips of Volibear junglers that are building tank, ulting onto an AD carry and just one-shotting them. I think Whippo is the biggest example, right? But the thing about those clips that's different to this one is that usually the AD carry isn't a level ahead of the enemy jungler. Tarzan is so far behind, he does not exist in this game of League of Legends. Now, second Herald of the game goes down in the mid lane. This will be a tower for Suning. Can they find a fight as well? Bins in on the back line. Angel's ready to try and sweep some kills up, but it's just going to be the tower for now. Mikuya forced away on the top side of the fight. Second charge coming on through here. Can Suning brute force this one? They're looking for the fight for themselves. The tower goes down, and immediately 2 kills are taken. The fight is over before it ever even began. We're looking for another clean ace, the 19th, it seems, of the series. And Suning just eradicate LNG.
Angel's going back for the teleport. They're actually going to finish this one up pre-20 minutes. If this goes through, it's actually the fastest game of the LPL this split. Not even at the 17-minute mark. There's a lot of players respawning, but you can tell Suning want it done right now. They've got dinner plans.
Suning say, who cares if Kassadin is a late game carry? We ain't got time for this one. 17 minutes on the clock as they cut down Tarzan once again, and they cut down LNG's dreams of a playoff run. Through the gauntlet they will go as they find yet more kills, and the Lions can roar. They clean up their game from the regular season, and they annihilate LNG 3-0.
That was one of the quickest series that we have ever witnessed on the Rift. I didn't expect this out of 2 very slow teams. We thought this was going to be a battle about glaciers colliding, but Suning show us completely different. They say, we know what the weaknesses of LNG are. We have seen the extent of their draft prowess, and we're going to counter with a bit of spice on ourselves. They go for pure lane dominance on off picks you don't really expect it. Renekton, sure, they should get a little bit of a lead over Aatrox, but not a 20 CS wallop. And Kassadin, there's no way that he should have been that far ahead of the Sylas. That was kind of ridiculous coming into the matchup, especially when you consider the fact that there's also a Volibear with hard crowd control on that lane. So I feel like Icon kind of mismanaged his lane, pushing it a little bit too early, got out-traded, and we also see just SofM, he has to be the MVP this time around. He was so on point with all of the ganks, just making sure that Sylas never got going and taking over Tarzan. You never want to challenge Vietnamese jungler in their own terrain buff.
Yeah, that was unbelievable right there. And the smite and ignite might as well get himself a pentakill skin if he can ever win worlds, because that was a brutal performance against Tarzan. We talked about the junglers as the head-to-head coming into this series, and it felt like the first game it was pretty even, but the longer this series went on, I don't know. It felt like LNG were emotionally broken by that last game. It felt over before it began.
It really did, and I think it just goes to it's just to show that how far Suning are ahead in terms of their player caliber. I think that coming into this series, that was kind of the biggest factor. You look at Bin and you look at Angel, and you say those two guys are actually going to crush their counterparts. That's exactly what happened. Really disappointing series from Icon. Really didn't get going whatsoever. We didn't really see any signs of life coming out of the mid lane, and it's still a win for LNG overall this season. They will be eliminated. There is no loser bracket waiting for them at this side of the playoffs. So they do make it to playoffs. It is an advancement for LNG. They go out of the 15th place spot into the 10th place spot. So, I still think it's kudos to them that they have improved, but it really isn't enough to actually show themselves up to a contender, and I think the combination of Tarzan and Icon, frankly, just hasn't worked.
Yeah, it's been a rough split for LNG across the board, and as you rightly say, the winning lanes, especially in those solo lanes for Suning, are very much the story here, but also the way that Suning are playing in the early game. Like, I think that's my big conclusion here, my big takeaway is that Suning were proactive here, they were playing to make sure that they were denying the early game win conditions from LNG. The amount of times that we saw everyone TPing down into that bottom lane, the jungle focus from SofM down in the bottom side as well, to make sure there was no way that Light and Lwandy could take over the bot lane. And once they did that, it felt like the rest was just a walk in the park.
It really was, and Angel's ability to actually outplay Icon in this mid lane was really surprising to see. I did expect LNG, like a lot of their drafts were actually based around the concept of mid jungle priority, and they never were able to execute it. That's, I think, something that just kind of boggles my mind. Angel wasn't even really trying to contest these. He was just playing for the hyper carries and going into the later phase of the game, but SofM, he was either stealing away the blue, he was either out farming Tarzan, and he really has an oversized impact on this series. I think if you were waiting for the head-to-head, as we showcased at the start of this segment, between SofM and Tarzan, at the end of the day, you have to say SofM cleanly is the superior jungle here.
Yeah, I think that's unarguable, and I have to say, I love that if Suning were going to get the fastest game of the split, it had to be on the Kassadin. When you think back to 2020, they had a couple of games on Kassadin where it was all about these weird early game skirmishes where Angel would arrive late and just sweep up all the kills, get fed on Kassadin, and just end the game off of that. It's this bizarre thing where Kassadin is not a mid-game skirmisher. He is not an early game carry, but for some reason, for Suning, they somehow managed to make this pick work in those scenarios over and over again. They're the only team in the world that I've seen do it, and it is really something to behold. They do it again. They get this insane speed run of the first round of playoffs. And I have to say, Suning looked good today. Moving forward in the bracket now, suddenly Suning on this underdog that have been underperforming all split, blah, blah. Suddenly, their early game actually looks real good.
Yeah, and that's going to be really crucial against a team like WE that they will be facing later on into the gauntlet. WE is a team that actually has a lot of early game action. That's the biggest difference between them and Suning. Suning, they have the same sort of idea where they overload with carries and play the 1-3-1. WE kind of does that as well. W essentially has 4 carries in Beishang, Zhou Shanks, and Breathe at the same time, and they overload you with damage. Suning do the same thing, but W get on the map a lot sooner. So I think SofM, he's going to have a much, much harder time against someone like Beishang, who I consider to be the best jungler of the split.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tougher matchup, as you would expect going through a gauntlet, right? It is in order of seeding, so you'd hope that it would be a tougher matchup. But WE, certainly. I think the biggest difference in my mind as well is the stronger solo lanes, right? Breeze versus Bin, that is going to be a banger. That series, like that matchup in the top lane, please give me carry matchups. Please let me see some Camille, let me see some Jace, let me see some of these picks where there is a lot of skill expression, because those two top laners have so much ability to take the game into their own hands. I want to see that 1v1 so bad.
And I think from this series, we can conclude that Angel has woken from his slumber. This was a very slow split for Angel. Didn't really have too many highlight plays, but this series, man, the mechanics were really on point. The fact that he was able to actually steal away Nautilus's ultimate when Nautilus was was throwing out the dredge line and get the ult off mid-air to stop Mikuya's engage at the same time was disgusting to watch. It just goes to show you how on point Angel is feeling. And that's going to be massive against someone like Shanks. I think Shanks was a bit exposed throughout the patch 11.5. And we saw that a lot of teams were trying to target it out. They were giving counter picks to the mid lane and just making sure that W didn't have the impact through mid jungle anymore. If Angel can keep his performance from this series, that could be a potential way they attack the Achilles heel on WE.
I have to say, Suning have never made playoffs in spring before, and now they've made it. They did it on the 7th seed, and they have crushed their first round. And feels like they've woken up a couple of months earlier than they usually do into the year, and now managing to guarantee themselves pushing forwards in the tournament. I'm excited.